Friends, happy, what is this, Friday evening. Thanks for joining us here in what we now like to call Live at Night Soccer Talk. I guess it's our way of not making anything officially related to the World Cup, if you can do it that way. I'm Alex Parra. It's always great to be with you. A lot of special guests today, by the way, so I'm teasing it to kind of get you involved. By the way, thanks to all you that are joining us. We are going live this evening. What is this? The 19th of June, a little after 10:30, while we're still watching the last of the World Cup matches going on, the fourth taking place between Paraguay and Turkey. I want to make sure I get that right, not to offend anyone. And we have a lot of special guests. We start with my little friend here to the left. This is Entrusco Único, the official ball of the 1990 World Cup. And I'm going to ask my guests, my co-hosts, if they know who won that World Cup. 1990 Italia. Let's see if they can remember who won that World Cup. I'm sure they'll look it up because I don't know if they quite have the capacity to remember those things. Of course, I am just kidding. I am just kidding because they are both amazing. And today we're privileged to have with us. Why don't we go to the shot? There it is. In first place in the center square, like Paul Lynde used to be in, what was the name of that show? The Hollywood Squares. He was always the funny one. I welcome in first Don Enrique Vasquez. Enrique, good evening. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. It's a Friday night late, and the body knows it, man. Right around now, I'm usually in bed, Alex Parra. So,
and usually by yourself too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, a fun day today. I know we're going to get into Victor's quick trip out to Guadalajara and what he saw last night in that Mexico match. They came away with the 3 points, but still leaving a lot to be desired. But hey, they're through, and if this result holds in this Paraguay match, it looks like the United States. Who would have thunk, Victor, the two CONCACAF nations, these two nations, would come out of the group stage winning the group after two matches with 2 wins?
It would have been something. Let me introduce him first, Enrique Vasquez. You're already questioning the poor man. He hasn't slept in like 2 days. And I look like I haven't slept in 3 weeks.
I haven't slept well, but
you haven't slept
I've tried to sleep.
There he is, the one and only Victor Araiza. First of all, Victor, good evening. We'll talk about your travels. How are you on this beautiful Saturday evening?
Yeah, well, first of all, glad to be on with you guys. Alex, Enrique, obviously legends down here in Houston, Texas.
Well, one of us is. One of us is.
one of you has an Emmy, and the other one.
Oh yeah,
doesn't.
we have to bring that up, don't we? That's fine, Victor. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, but look, there'll be time to sleep after the World Cup. This is obviously an exciting tournament, and yeah, look, that's the power of being the host country. And in this case, we have 3 co-hosts. Canada was a little bit farther behind, but they're kind of picking up as well. So they had a big game first CONCACAF team, I believe.
Yeah.
To score 6 goals in a game. So they responded well. And yeah, maybe the 3 host nations will be group winners. I believe Mexico, at least, I think, has already sealed the deal. The U.S. is pretty close to it. And again, Canada getting a good break there with that game. And again, we go back to it. That was the big, on top of having the games here in our, neck of the woods, but also to, for example, in Mexico's case, the furthest they've ever gone was when they've hosted the World Cup. So I think that was kind of the big hope, that having the World Cup is not just having the games, having the aura of the World Cup, but also having the possibility of having these host nations, the U.S., Mexico, Canada, go far in the tournament. And if people are talking about potentially winning it, they're starting to dream. And I think that's kind of, again, the magic of this tournament and what you want to feel as somebody who's participating. Certainly, this is what other countries are missing out on, the ones that didn't get to qualify.
A lot to talk about, friends. Thanks to all of you that are joining us, and you're just kind of gathering, whether it's via Facebook, YouTube, or X. We want your involvement, of course. Questions, comments. Hey, you've got the experts somehow. I got to figure out the Brady Bunch here thing. But you got Enrique Vasquez, you got Victor Araiza, and let's start with you, Victor, a little bit. Man, in Houston. Yesterday in Guadalajara, watching the Mexico-South Korea match. You're back to Houston tomorrow, back for the Netherlands match, Sweden match at Houston Stadium. Talk to us about your trip to Guadalajara. It was quick. How did you enjoy that match, sir?
Yeah, just going to the game, trying to catch some of it. Obviously, the magic here of what I mean, you could sort of feel that magic in the air from the moment you get there. There's some Mexico jerseys going down from Houston, so there's we've talked about this here, and that's probably who this World Cup of pieces to is the people that are able to buy these tickets, and certainly a lot of them, Mexicans living in the United States that aren't too worried about parting with some lifelong memories, with a couple $1,000 for some lifelong memories, right? Again, the flight I was on, a bunch of Mexico jerseys, whether they were just coming down to be around the atmosphere or actually going to the game. Again, you could feel it in the air. I mean, I know on paper, right? Maybe South Korea had a bit better of a chance. I know it was a tight game, but you kind of just felt. I mean, Mexico had to pull this one out. I know they're not playing well, but I do think there's just something about having the entire country behind you. There's always questioning. There's always the media criticism. But once that ball starts rolling, I think these fans are really into it. You saw it today with the U.S. too. It's no coincidence. I think Canada has a little bit of that magic as well. And I'll tell you, I've never seen Mexico so united, especially when it could be the Mexican League can be almost unsafe for Mexican families now, right? We see some of the violence in some of these Liga MX matches here and there where there's been questions about what's happening to the sport in Mexico. But this thing kind of went off without a hitch. Again, as united as I've seen Mexico, and also this is a city that just a couple weeks ago, was undergoing some cartel violence. So again, it just kind of tells you what this World Cup has done for the country. I go back to it again. I think it's uniting the United States as well. You saw the sights from Seattle. And let's see how long this lasts, and hopefully they can make a run here, and maybe we can start achieving some world peace or something.
Victor, how were the logistics, and Enrique, I'll let you get in here too, but how were the logistics, Victor, of leaving the country, of coming back in? Was it just like a normal trip to Guadalajara? You came out of Houston, direct flight, right back. Were there any issues in the immigration portion, in the coming through customs, in the, hey, what are you doing there? Was it normal, quote unquote?
Yeah, no, none. And I think part of it is, FIFA's got a hand in all this organization, right? Everything has to be seamless for people visiting for the World Cup. You guys know my wife's from Mexico. I have a U.S. passport, and one thing she's told me.
We're not questioning your legal status, Victor. Please.
No. What I'm getting to is, one of the things she was telling me when I was like, man, I'd like to, go down and maybe work out of Mexico or something, and maybe get my dual citizenship or whatever. And she told me, what for? They treat foreigners better than Mexicans. And yesterday, as I'm going through customs, I mean, you should see this thing for foreigners, and it's like an automated thing. Like, you just scan your passport in the machine. You walk through, it scans your face, and you're through. That's it. That's customs. You're done. And if you're, a national coming back, no, you got the long line. You got to go talk to the official. You got to say what you were doing. I mean,
unzip your bag.
It's so easy to kind of just get out of there, get through the country. And obviously, it's not like the same as here, where people are still kind of going to work. And I mean, over there, it's especially a city like Guadalajara, soccer, so soccer centric. It's an off day. I mean, if people are showing up to work, it's just for an obligation. There's no business. I mean, I drove some of these businesses. They were open just for show. There was no, anything going on. These tire places, they weren't fixing any cars.
That's normally Mexico anyway, right, Enrique?
After 2 o'clock, nothing happens. Now, I want to go back to what you were talking about, how they pick up a point, Victor, and everybody's behind the team. For the 45 minutes after halftime, maybe, because at halftime they were getting booed. They were getting booed off the pitch. So they finished up. Korea had the mistake. They took advantage of it. But to me, again, the comparison was, and now for 2 matches for the U.S., they force a mistake early, and then they take advantage. They build on it, and they seal the win in both games. The U.S. has been able to. here for Mexico, they have a mistake there in the second half, but then they don't build on it. They had one more chance in the 75th minute, Raul, and that was about it as far as Mexico generating any kind of offense to put the game away. And then, if not for a miraculous save, they're late in the match. Maybe that's a tight match, and then the feeling is completely different for Mexico.
Yeah, no, it absolutely. They still have much more to live up to. I should put it that way. And this is where, they've always said the cliche game by game, right? But this is kind of where it's sort of turning out to be that way for Mexico, because at least they're getting the results. That's the important part. And they still got one more to finish the group stage. And if they start clicking in the knockout round, I mean, maybe that's all. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered in the long run, right? But yeah. I'll give you a behind the scenes here. I had to take a restroom break at some point, so I was like, "Man, I'm going 40th minute because the way this stadium is, I gotta, there's gonna be a long line." But to that point, inside the restroom, all the guys are, how can you not generate any opportunities? 50,000 pesos, un boleto, right? Like basically what the tickets are going for, $3,000, $4,000. And I mean, I rather have them, go for it. And I'm obviously paraphrasing here. I'm not going to go into the vulgar language. It's like, I'd rather have them go for it than see what this is going on. Right. And I think, but then when the goal came in, you sort of felt all that frustration, pent up frustration from the suffering. And it just turns into party mode. And that's kind of what all the fans wanted to do, right? I mean, they've been bringing it in the stands. Again, there's just, you feel the difference of a World Cup game from it just being a Gold Cup or it just being one of these friendlies in the United States, right? There's chants, there's singing, there's again, the build-up throughout the day. And I do think again, that's what makes the World Cup special here. That's part of what makes the opponent also have to feel pressure and also not live up to it. I do think that affected the South Koreans. Certainly when you get in the final third and you see them make mistakes, even the goalie, I think maybe that's part of it too, just that atmosphere where Rome was able to pounce on that. And again, there is part of this magic where it is sort of written. I think I'm a believer in that kind of stuff for soccer. I think there's just days where they're made for certain things to happen, and you can sort of, you were wondering how much some of these Chivas players were going to be able to be in the spotlight for this game. It's the game in Guadalajara. It's going to go down in history, and it's two Chivas players that provide the result. It's Romo with the goal, the unlikeliest of sorts, and it's Raúl Rangel, who's the goalie for Chivas, he's on his home field. Just lives up to it in such a tremendous moment that's going to put him in, and separate him, right? Because again, the big thing coming into this World Cup was Memo Ochoa, 6th World Cup, and Aguirre is going to play him and all this. And at the end of the day, Aguirre went with the guy that's been in better form, certainly in the domestic league, and he showed it yesterday. And I think those are the moments that Mexico can sort of go back to later on in the knockout stage and be like, okay, see, this is where we know we have a good defense. They were without Cesar Montes, remember, because he got red carded late in that first game. Yeah. So Edson Alvarez had to step in, and he had good intervention in that first minute, where it was almost a goal line clearing. So you've seen special teams in the NFL and NBA and baseball championship teams that it's those moments that sort of start building a championship run. I don't know if Mexico's going to have a championship run, but I think they can go far here. And these are certainly the moments that can start being the bricks to that.
Yeah, certainly just you feel relief. And of course, I mean, we don't need an excuse to go party. So then we just go party.
No, and it's crazy. It's all over the place. I was shocked at how Houston responded. Even in Mexico, I've heard the Fan Fest downtown in Guadalajara. Obviously, it's kind of like the one in Houston. It's a very limited space, but people were outside the walls of that Fan Fest. I think they might have even torn them down, or they came down, however it happened.
Sure.
Because people wanted to be around that environment. Monterrey's Fan Fest, I believe 100,000 people.
Wow.
El Zócalo in Mexico City, was also, to big numbers. And then when you see it extend to the United States, again, Houston here, we knew that small fan fest in Nito wasn't going to be enough. But to see it spill over to Shell Energy Stadium, which I think after that first game, where they announced like 12,000 people. Obviously, we know it spills over to the bars, but I mean, to fill up a stadium that we've seen empty too many times. That I mean, I've always it's amazing to see it full. The Koreans as well, and it just tells you how much backing Mexico has through these continents. And again, that's part of it. That's part of the magic, that the backing that. It's a little bit undescribable, but it's also a celebration of culture. That's kind of what I felt again last night in Mexico. Like I said, I've never seen the country more unified, because I think again in your league you have you're either Chivas, your Atlas, your America, Cruz Azul. No, last night everybody was all about the green. It was all about Mexico, and I thought that might have taken some doing, but it's really special to see, man. And I don't know. Again, I don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe the first loss they get, it all goes back to how it was. But at least for the moment, I mean, it's good to see. And I didn't get to live 86, and I certainly didn't get to live Mexico 70. But I would imagine there were similar feelings to this.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're watching some video, by the way, friends. Thanks to all of you that are joining us of last night's attendance at Shell Energy Stadium. Enrique and I were live when we were talking about this. Over 20,000 people. Enrique Vasquez more than normally attends some of the games there for the Dash, for the Dynamo.
They might have made more on concessions last night than on a Dynamo game.
It might be good business in so many ways. So is it surprising, Enrique? Not necessarily, because this is a very unique situation, right? It just speaks to that passion. And there were some Korean fans there as well, 2 or 3.
Yeah, and of course now those 20,000 fans are always going to tell their grandchildren, "Hey, I went to the World Cup."
That's right.
They were however many thousands of miles away, but they were at the match with their friends, watching Mexico win 2 in a row in the World Cup. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool that this experience has been so for the fans here in Houston. Again, going back to what the general feel and vibe of the World Cup as we were going in, and all the troubles that people expected or maybe hoped for. To some degree, all those people just wanted those bad vibes, that the foreigners or the tourists are not going to have a good time. They're not going to be welcome. They're not going to be treated well. And it's been everything opposite of that. The experience for everybody that's come in on social media has been pretty amazing to see, from the foods that they're trying for the first time to stepping into Houston Stadium for the first time and seeing that building and being in awe. When we walk into that building all the time, and we're almost like, hey, this is a 25-year-old building. We need a new one. But no, I mean,
we're spoiled.
It's cool. Yeah, we are spoiled. We are spoiled. And it's cool to be able to see not only the city, but the country, because all the stadiums here in this World Cup has just been to the max. And that's pretty cool to see.
Absolutely. Thanks, friends, for joining us. Enrique Vasquez, Victor Araiza, I'm Alex Parra. Thanks to you that are joining us via X. I'm seeing more people join, so we want you part of the conversation. Find a way to send us your comments, your questions. Victor, I'll start with you today. El plato fuerte, if you will, the big game, United States in Seattle versus Australia. Talk to us about how you felt that game went, and the importance of now 6 points and in the United States playing well in spite of Pulisic not playing today.
Yeah, it's kind of showing that it's not a coincidence, or at least to the people that don't really follow the U.S., right? Maybe they're kind of just being the casuals, and how much do you buy into that Paraguay game? But I know, again, because as the week builds up, there's all this talk, and maybe some of these games seem harder than they are. This was always going to be, I think, all due respect to Australia, the easier game for the U.S. out of the 3. And again, in Seattle, you would have thought that was going to bring a big home field advantage for the U.S. I still don't know why they don't play more games in Seattle, probably because of the turf. But I mean, just for the fact of having one of the best soccer markets in the United States, and that's a pro-U.S. soccer market as well, pro-U.S. national team. Today they kind of show you that atmosphere and why it's such a great soccer city. Again, Mexico is such a big advantage of it's already in the culture, right? Soccer's already in the culture. Um, I don't know if Canada has it as much, but I think part of their excitement or lack thereof has been depending on how much talent they've had. I think they're also best generation they've ever witnessed. But the U.S., I mean, you start seeing again just the support outside the stadium. Um, if they could start to bottle some of this up, right, and have it built throughout the country, just like Mexico has, and into the fan fest, which I think it will, just naturally from the watch parties, from people catching on that it's not just a fluke. One result against Paraguay, now it's against Australia. We'll see what they do against Turkey, and if they finish top of the group, I think certainly more and more people will start to catch on, and let's see. And again, that's another reason why you brought just on the field wise, right? Pochettino.
Yeah.
How much do we know if was Pulisic really out, or did they decide, hey, listen, this is the game to leave him out? I'm going to make that decision as the coach. We have enough without him to win this game. And at the same time, you heard it in his post game chat there with Fox. He's not disregarding Pulisic, but he's also trying to, and I'm sure this is team building. He's also trying to put the importance. Listen, if we're going to win this tournament, it's not going to be just Pulisic. It's got to be the team. Yeah.
Enrique, how do you see the group number one? And obviously, we're still watching the Paraguay versus Turkey match, but clearly United States in control. And talk also about the pressure, Enrique. Is the pressure building versus not? Are the expectations growing? We kind of talked about this yesterday, Enrique Vasquez.
And this is certainly something new for all those players, because as much as you may want to say that, yeah, you're a professional, you want to treat this as such, and the only thing that matters is what happens in the locker room. But now this is going to be a new experience for them. When they see a full house, and now the expectations of, and when you hear Ibrahimovic talking about, hey, start believing in this team, and something big may be able to happen here. Let's see how they handle it. Sometimes handling success may be harder than building up in reaching the top. So now let's see what happens in this third match. They may not have to do anything. The score here is Paraguay still up. So if that holds, U.S. is going to finish out number one in the group. So then, yeah, you do have a chance now to basically sit Pulisic for 3 weeks, possibly almost 3 weeks, if he does indeed have something going on with that calf. So now the team is going to be 100% moving forward. Cards at this point don't seem to be an issue, and he's deep enough now to where that third game you can really shuffle the lineup, Victor, and protect whoever may be carrying a yellow. So then things are lining up really nice here for the U.S. to make a good run.
And also get some more playing time to some of the guys that you want to get a World Cup under their belt, but also you just see what they got and see if somebody else provides something different. The other thing that kind of stood out to me is, I don't know how much of a drama or controversy it really would have been. People always like to kind of make that. Who's the number 9? Is it Balogun? Is it Pepe? And then Balogun obviously had that good game against Paraguay, that first match. And he sort of signaled to himself. People were saying that he was probably sending a message to Pepe. Today, we got to see both of them play on the field, right? And again, you see how united that team is. You see what both of them can bring, and you see how some people can sort of adjust. But they believe in Pochettino. I think this team is starting to certainly see the fruits of their labor, and again, when you got somebody like Zlatan telling you, you start to believe it a little more. And not that you need that validation, but again, it's kind of like with our stadiums, right? Right. It's nice to hear something, different perspective of what Reliance Stadium is, and you just kind of, maybe we have been overlooking this, or maybe we are a little spoiled, and again, it's even with the comparisons to the other stadiums as well.
And Victor, you see also the commitment from some of the guys, like you mentioned, Pepe. He could have easily said, "Hey, you know what? I have to score. I have to put it upon me to look for the ball and look for my game, not what's best for the team." And you saw him throughout the match today. He didn't come up with scores, but he made runs where he needed to open up spaces for his teammates. And again, that's believing in the system and not making it about me. Some of these other stars, like maybe Ronaldo Cristiano, maybe was talked about, playing it that way for himself the other day, making it about himself. Hey, I got to score regardless of what's best for the team, and that's a good sign for when you talk about Pochettino making the commitment to not necessarily bring the best players, but the players that fit best for the team, and that's a good sign. If he's going to have to make it about the team, it seems like it's all the guys are bought in.
Yeah, and I'll just give credit to Pochettino. I don't know if, and granted, I'm sure it's tough to convince Ronaldo, but I think part of managing is you got to appease your star players and get the best out of them or get on their good side. Again, Martinez has a tough task there, maybe with Cristiano in Portugal, and you could see the disconnect. We started talking in Houston, where Ronaldo's already in the locker room, and the rest of the team is thanking the fans. And you sort of get the sense that there's a little bit more going on there, where with the U.S. you see them united, you see these guys playing for each other. Pepe probably wants to be the guy, but Pochettino's probably, he knows how to stroke the ego is what I'm getting at, right? Him, Balogun, how to get the best out of these guys. Gio Reyna, I'm sure, the way he managed that situation and it's worked out a little nicely, right? So again, that's the importance of a manager. That was the importance of getting a guy like Pochettino, who's worked with some of the world's best players, who he seems all nice, but you can tell that guy he's got to do some tough love, and that's why I'm excited to see how much potential this U.S. team can unravel. I'm gonna do a quick apology here. I've been told on YouTube,
yes, sir,
my background's wrong. I don't have any mountains on it.
All your mountains were erased.
Yeah, I saw this story, obviously, friends that have no idea to the reference. Was it the BBC laying out Houston Stadium?
That's right.
And behind the stadium, beautiful mountains that don't exist, right?
They got the Houston skyline right. They just added the mountains. I guess that would have been right around Sugarland, right? That was the shot, or was it around Friendswood?
Rosenberg.
Yeah,
nice Mount Sutton, Rosenberg.
It's amazing what Texas is supposed to be or isn't around the globe. Let me ask you, too, a tough question, because this is something, Enrique, you and I have discussed this for 25, 30 years. Victor, you and I have alluded to this. All of us are proud to have Mexican ancestry. All three of us are proud to be American citizens and living in this country, and this is our country. Has this changed now for Mexican Americans, for Latin Americans, to really embrace the United States? I'm seeing more and more true love versus a dismissive, yeah, that's that team, but my team is still Mexico. My team is still Colombia. My team is still Argentina. I've really seen a change, a love coming for the United States. Enrique, I'll start with you. Are we loving the United States men's national team more than ever and truly standing behind them versus and you say this great, oh, that's nice. This team has the potential now in its building to do more than the Mexican national team. And I hope it's embraced by people with Mexican ancestry. Enrique.
Well, I think that's been the case here for a while, that the expectations that the U.S. national team was going to maybe get to that next level before Mexico, and obviously they did, beating them for that fifth game back whenever it was. So I think still, though, that Mexicans from Mexico are still El Tri guys, and it's their
no
kids.
matter what.
No matter what, I think it's the kids. It's the second generation. It's the guys maybe like me who came as a young person. I was 8 years old when I.
That was a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah, a long time ago when I came here to the U.S. So maybe people like me that grew up here more so than grew up in Mexico are more apt to look at the U.S. team and root for them with a true sense of, hey, I want you guys to do well. I think my dad, as much as he came over to watch the game with me today, as much as he wanted the U.S. to win, I think he's still more for Mexico to pull it off instead of the U.S.
Yeah, Victor, same question.
Not that he wants the U.S. to do bad, but he wants Mexico to do better.
That I like the way you put that. Victor, do you concur? Do you have a kind of a different approach to it?
I haven't seen more people on social media, and granted, however, take it with a grain of salt. Twitter, I think some of these reels on Instagram, where people have been doing, me on Thursday and stem in a Mexico shirt, and then me on Friday and stem in a U.S. shirt, right?
Yeah.
And I think before you would get clowned by Mexican fans for that, or even maybe not so much the U.S. fans, but I mean the rivalry between the two countries, because it's, you know, if you're from any other country and a U.S. citizen, right? If you Colombian American or German American or Nigerian American, I think it's almost, you know, nobody bats an eye if you support two nations. But because these two are such close rivals, I think that's been the issue where the rivalry kind of has gone over. But I think I've seen more people again in this World Cup sort of take to both nations. You know, I'll go quick. You know, my parents aren't the biggest soccer fans, but they're both, you know, converted U.S. citizens. You know, they love the United States, so I think they you know, my mom certainly would support both. I don't think you have to choose one or the other. You know, like some of these players have to, right? I mean, I think you have it on both sides. Ovid Vargas last night, you know, he's an MLS product. He, you know, born in Alaska, but's playing for the Mexican national team and got his World Cup debut last night in Guadalajara. The other side of that coin is you got Ricardo Pepi, right? Who
from Texas,
maybe wanted to represent the Mexican national team, but is also a proud American. And again, and he's been vital, not just to this World Cup, but to the World Cup process in the previous 4 years. So, you know, it's on both sides. I think it'll grow. I think the bigger thing here is, again, in Mexico, I think it's just part of the culture to support soccer, and it's just as simple as that. It's just part of the culture. I think here, you know, again, U.S. soccer has made it so hard to support the U.S. national team, because it's almost like I believe it was a fan or somebody on Twitter put this in sort of one of these impromptu articles, right? But it's so true that I think that's the other side of getting a guy like Mauricio Pochettino, a guy who's come from humble beginnings, who's an Argentine, who feels and bleeds the game and knows it's a game of the people. At least for this team and for what they've done, they brought that feeling back of it's the people's sport, right? Because I go back to it, and sometimes it's the pay to play, and certainly this World Cup feels pay to play. But that's been the culture in the United States, and that's the reason why I feel it's been a barrier for the sport in the United States. And you know, again, sometimes it's almost you know, you got to fight U.S. soccer how much you want to support them, right? But I think, you know, this team and this coach have made it easy to support this team. I don't know how much the federation is going to capitalize on that, but at least I think that's certainly where it's a prime opportunity. The World Cup provides this, and we'll see if it becomes a bit of a lifelong connection for some people, because some of that gets lost. I think it got lost with the women's national team. Yeah.
And then you finally have the connection also then with with a good base of players that have developed basically in Europe, who feel that on a weekly basis, you know, the passion, the connection with the local teams and the local leagues that are in Europe, and now a manager, a coach who understands that as well, where maybe that connection wasn't there before. And now the style of play, the passion that they see on a weekly basis playing in Europe with a coach that understands it, and now those two things can come together. And now that really resonates throughout the club, and now throughout a nation that's going to start following this team on a pretty cool run here. And this has a feel of, you know, Olympics, where a U.S. athlete of whatever sport starts making a run to a gold, whether it was at hockey in 1980 or, you know, the dream team in basketball. We know they're going to win, but it's still fun to watch them do it and progress in the Olympics. This sort of has that field, Victor and Alex, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see over the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. Friends, if you're just joining us, we are live here, live at night, Soccer Talk talking, and I've got to go to my notes because it's been too many days already, and we're just getting started. This is day number 8 of the World Cup action. Today we're talking about the USA victory over Australia, certainly an important part of what's going on in Group D. We'll be talking about the game that's taking place in Houston, the third game being hosted in our city here in Houston, in Texas. We're also monitoring the last game of the evening out, I believe it's in San Francisco Bay Area, Enrique Vasquez, Paraguay and Turkey. What's the score there, sir?
It's a 1-0. Just kicked off second half.
There you go. So, but let's talk quickly, if you gentlemen don't mind, about what else has been happening today. Group C action, Victor. I enjoyed the Scotland-Morocco match because of two things: the quality of Morocco, but also the grit of Scotland. And even though they were going after each other, gentlemen, this is my take on this match. It didn't cross the line of getting dirty. And it could have very easily. So I love the effort. I love the energy. This match in Boston had everything in the making. I wish in some way maybe Scotland would have come back and tied it. They're still in a very interesting position because they picked up a win in the first match, but the group gets a little bit complicated. But Victor, Scotland, Morocco, a passionate match. Two countries that I can see them. They're three of these teams I think can get out of the group. Victor, do you agree?
Yeah, I think they will. To be honest with you, maybe to the chagrin of poor Haiti, who's probably going to be pointless coming out of here. And obviously, I mean, that's been a remarkable story just in the sense of, they qualify without ever having to be in the country. But certainly this, I think, yeah, you hit it on the head that the three teams coming out of this group, I kind of already decided. I like the result. I was pulling maybe a little bit more for Scotland, but I think for me, I want to see Brazil come to H-Town. So the fact that this kind of stayed to a minimal difference there, and then Brazil was able to get a couple goals to be able to kind of take that group lead, especially because Morocco and Brazil tied in that first game. Just for the selfishness of wanting to see Brazil here out of these three groups in that round of 32 game. That's kind of the storyline I was kind of really more geared to. But look, Scotland, again, that's the thing about this World Cup. Third place teams can go through. I think they probably, those 3 points are going to help. We'll see what they do in that last game. They might have it a little bit easy. Actually, I'm sorry. No, they face Brazil, so it's probably not going to be easy.
Correct.
But I'm saying they might just be able to do enough to be able to move on. And I mean, I think, still Brazil is also kind of like Mexico, or have they been living up to it enough? Certainly to the expectations that they have. Obviously, they have bigger expectations because they won the World Cup five times. Yeah. So.
Forgive me for interrupting you.
To be the biggest thing was Brazil.
Yes, sir. Enrique, the groups now, like Victor mentioned, we all start now doing the calculation, the goal differential, the what ifs, right? Victor's correct. Hey, in a way, I want maybe Brazil coming in number one, not number two. But then if the magic works out, we really get close to that, Enrique, even after game number two, right? Certainly when we're starting in the third game of the first round, it's all about where people end up. And now with this factor of the best third places, man, it gets a little bit more complicated, a bit of a Rubik's Cube maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. But the thing is that, the real Brazil finally shows up. So now it's as long as they get on a roll, I think, they're going to be okay. The more important question to me is there going to be an emergency shipment of alcohol to wherever Scotland's going to be based out of,
Scotland goes next.
Fans, man, those fans know how to party.
Wow. And what is it? I literally heard a quote. We're going to get drunk before the game. We're going to get drunk during the game. Or we're going to get drunk after the game. Man, the stamina of that. That's, wow. Good for them, I guess. That's one way to enjoy it, right, Enrique Vasquez?
It's like Alex Parra in his OU days, right?
That's right. Going way, way back. Let's switch gears here a little bit, gentlemen. And talk a little bit about what's coming up in Houston tomorrow. Big match, the third match being hosted here, Netherlands, Sweden at Houston Stadium. That match starting at noon Houston time. Enrique, I'll start with you. This is going to build up even before the match itself. We know that the Dutch bus is in town starting at Rice. A procession will be taking place. Is this maybe one of those moments again where even if you're not a Dutch fan, you find a way to join in and partake in the celebration even before the
No,
match?
absolutely. I think the city of Houston has had the appetizers of what the World Cup is. I think finally we're going to have the big dish, the plato fuerte. 8 a.m. at Rice, like you said, 8:45. They're going to start their march over to the stadium, and that's going to be one of the coolest experiences that the city of Houston has had. Whether it's whatever kind of parade, obviously the Astros winning a World Series, the Rockets winning the NBA championships, or our local events, but to have the world showcase the city and this moment and this match on Saturday. That's going to be really cool. I'm not going to be able to get down there, but I'm sure to get the videos. I don't know, Victor, if you're going to make the trip down there, but that should be one of the coolest things that has ever happened here in Houston, sports-wise, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to peek at it before I head to the stadium. I don't know if I mean, I also don't want to be struggling for parking at kickoff or something.
You got to balance that out.
So I'll figure it out. But hey, by the way, Sweden's having their own march too now, or I mean, that might have already been planned, but we're just finding out that Sweden is also having their own march. So that's gonna be kind of cool to see both of those nations. And this was always going to be the more competitive of all the World Cup matches that Houston got, at least in the group stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're eager to see what tomorrow happens. Obviously, the storylines on the field set up nicely with the Netherlands, tying with Japan. So now they're sort of forced to have to win this game. Sweden won their first game and got a coach fired. So they're kind of in a nice position. Obviously the color around it, and it started before. Like the other thing we've seen, the fan festival has provided sort of a pregame the day before for some of these fan bases. So we've seen the Dutch out there, we've seen the Swedes out there, and then obviously it spills over to the local bars. Brian Chink's bar has obviously been the general hub, right, for soccer by default. Whether people want to debate at that or not, I'm not going to get into that. And you see that some of the Portugal. Yeah, and you see some of the Portugal fans in town as well. And obviously some of them are staying here because, there's 2 games with a week in between. So, I think we're seeing a lot of the cultures. I think, as we've talked about here, this World Cup was going to be an eye-opener. And we'll see if it leads to more attention, more mainstream attention to the sport. But at the very least, they can figure out, or they're forced to kind of figure out the power of the sport worldwide, and that it's just as big as the NFL and Major League Baseball, if not bigger, with all due respect to those sports. It's got the same star power. It's got the same, big time appeal. And maybe they've been sleeping on it here in the United States.
So let's talk about that. This will be game number 3 in Houston, Victor and Enrique, out of 7. We're moving along very quickly. Before you know it, and Victor said this, it's going to be over. How do we, as a community, let's bring it into Houston. How do we keep this going? Is it possible to keep it going? Enrique, we've been through these moments before where soccer has had the spotlight, the women's game, the men's game, at different levels. Never here in Houston, never with the type of focus now that we have. Literally, I can see the coverage tomorrow, helicopters flying over the Dutch bus, right? Over the fans making the procession to Houston Stadium. We know it as NRG. It'll be Reliant, right? Enrique Vasquez when it reopens again for Texans action, etc. How do we keep this moving? How do we make this grow versus, remember that? And then a dynamo game, a dash game, local competitions. Again, nobody paying attention. It's almost a dichotomy, a huge difference between the coverage, the attention that's happening now and what might happen afterwards. Enrique, any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, if I had the answer, I would have sent it over to the Dynamo years ago. We've worked with the Dynamo almost since the very beginning.
They wouldn't take it, man. They would just reply to return to sender.
Return to sender. That's the thing that nobody's really found the answer, right? There's been a disconnect with the community, with the fans, with all the kids and adults that play the game of soccer here in the city of Houston, which is no small number. But it just hasn't not translated for those people to turn out and make ball games or make Dynamo games or soccer events there on a regular basis, unless they're big time events, at Reliant. And we've seen that when you start to question, is Houston a soccer city? Well, now you see that it perfectly is. So I don't know. It's a shame that the team outside of the seasons, the two championship seasons, league seasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, they won the U.S. Open Cup as well, but it just has not translated to consistent assistance. Whether it's at the old stadium in Robertson or the new one, whether it's the heat or whether it's not having a Hispanic player, all those things have come and gone and changed, and they've tried updates and other things, and nothing changes. Nothing changes, and that's a shame. I'm sure so many people have tried, and it just hasn't worked.
Is this the time that it does change, Victor Araiza? Is this a time where this energy continues beyond the 7 matches held at the big stadium?
Well, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't change now, it may never change. Because I think, again, that's why we've been building to this, and we've been talking about this impact the World Cup has, and even grasping onto it as with the local teams and building on it. There's not going to be another opportunity like this, at least I don't think in our lifetimes. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we can get more momentum, but again, 1994 was about 30 years ago, and that was a different time. And obviously, now there's the league's in a different place, MLS in a different place. But I think hopefully it'll be an eye opener for the organizations as well. Maybe they can piggyback on some of this stuff. Maybe this can reinvigorate them. The other part of it is, maybe this can be contagious to some of the grassroots efforts. Because one of the things we forget is it doesn't just fall on the organization, on the clubs. A lot of this can be spurred organically through some of the fan bases, which have dwindled over the years as well, at least for the local teams. Maybe tomorrow with the march, more people will, that'll be contagious and be like, why don't we have a march for like Dynamo? And that's been tried before, but I'm saying maybe that'll add more numbers to it. Those kinds of things. The other one is, and I just kind of, this just kind of came to my mind. It may even catch on to the other sports. I'm seeing, Astros fans now are over at the Astros games. They now have their ultras, right? They got the guys without the shirts in the top section. Yeah. So I'm wondering if, and we've seen kind of the effort there with the Red Rowdies and basketball. So, if the local soccer teams don't jump on it, the other teams might. The Texans obviously have a good thing they're building there with the international fans, and obviously as the NFL goes more global, that's only going to continue to grow. It may not even help soccer; it might help the other sports.
I think that's the difference, Victor. That now those ideas can be used to enhance what's already there. But if you're trying to build something from scratch, you can't just say, okay, we're going to start a tradition. That's not how traditions work. So it has to be organic. It has to come from the fans, and that just hasn't worked for whatever reason. They've dropped the ball on so many things through the years. The Dynamo have, and it's a shame that leadership or whoever the case may be have just not been able to make it work. And like you said, it may not. I mean, when is the World Cup going to come back again to the U.S.?
In our lifetime, probably never, right? We may not see this.
Or this may be the most successful cup again. Financially, I think they're going to make their money. As much as everybody griped about the tickets. Even if all those tickets weren't,
the stadiums aren't empty.
No, they're not empty. And even if they ended up giving away some of those tickets, Alex, plenty of people paid plenty of money. The stadiums are full. The action on the field has been pretty good.
Yes, it has.
Pretty good action. So the matches have been competitive. So maybe the World Cup does come back. As much as everybody decries, now we have extra commercials. There's commercial breaks. Who needs a hydration timeout? Whatever. I mean, all in all, this has been a success, and maybe the World Cup does come back sooner than later.
Maybe. And Enrique, look, let me point something out. That there are viewing parties like today at Shell Energy Stadium. For the USA match that took place at 2:00 in the afternoon in the middle of summer. We talked about the heat. We talked about obviously this not being a city where you walk around, right? You need the AC, etc. It's those elements now that I think need to be captured and propelled to push the MLS franchise, the Houston Dynamo, the NWSL franchise, the Houston Dash, and elevate it to another level. But you're right. If I think any one of us truly had the answer, we would share that. It's a complicated puzzle, but the answer that I'm seeing, Victor and Enrique and friends that are following us, that it is possible. Even with matchups that you would think aren't necessarily sexy. Let's see what happens with the Saudi Arabia match, right? Versus, is it Curaçao?
Cape Verde.
I'm sorry, Cape Verde. I apologize. If that stadium is full, if there's energy like we've seen so far for the first
I
two
think it will be.
matches, and it will be because of the importance of that match, that's something you need to figure out how to bottle up with our local stars, with our local league. And is it investment of time, energy, and money, and marketing, and saying, why can't we fill up the 22,000 seat stadium?
And that's why I want to say it's not the fans' fault. This isn't about the fans not being there.
Yeah.
This is about the franchise doing things the right way and reaching out the right way to draw the fans there.
Where I would do, I wouldn't use necessarily the word fault, Enrique, and I'm not trying to protect anything or anyone. I think it's the puzzle yet hasn't been solved in this Houston market, but now it's here, and it's true that it's being successful. Soccer has been successful in Houston, even if we didn't have 5 more matches that are coming. So you're going to see it swell. I think any one of us that cares about our sport will ask ourselves, how can we keep this going? Even if it's once a week, even if it's once a month. Victor, I'll let you have the last word on this, and it won't be the last word because I'm sure this is a topic we'll continue to revisit.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, I'm sure it won't be the last word because you won't shut up. I'll give it to you simple. One word I've always kind of used to summarize this. It's connection. All of this is connection. Soccer is a sport everybody or a lot of these fans live, but it's the connection to whether it be, in this case, your nation, your culture.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes the bond with the sport so strong. These fans obviously care enough to come watch Mexico and listen. They weren't complaining about AC. They weren't complaining about that place not having a roof or it being the summer, or maybe that screen being too small. They were there to be there in the moment, to share with somebody, to be part of it. Like Enrique said, this was in their version of the World Cup moment because maybe they couldn't be down in Guadalajara. They can't be down in Mexico City. And it should be the same. And it is the same. And I think in some cities around the U.S., they need to get more. For if you can't be in Seattle to support the U.S., or if you can't be in L.A., this is the environment you want to be a part of, and they got to bottle into. Why should that be with the Dynamo or the Dash, or it could be anybody? It could be with Austin FC, it could be with FC Dallas. But that's the connection they have to nurture and build. I feel it always goes back to that. That's why it helps to, you can go out and get a Mexican player, but you also have to make them, the work doesn't end there, right? When you got Hector Herrera, it doesn't just end by getting Hector Herrera and it's an automatic fix. You get Hector Herrera, but then you build on that. That's your in with the community. It's not the automatic fix, which is better than not having one at all, because then the work is a little bit harder. I go back to that because, again, that's what spurs the grassroots movement. That's what spurs you being a lifelong fan, you passing that fandom down to your kids and them to their kids, and so on and so forth. And that's how this becomes generational. But it all starts there. You got to make people care, and you got to care back as well. And sometimes, that's I go back to it. In the Robertson days, there was people that came for the team, that were diehards for the team, that stuck around as long as they could. And a lot of them with a lot of hard-earned money into this team, with the hopes that, again, it could be what it was in those early years. And at some point, people get tired of waiting, and that's why I go to it. It's a two-way street, but to me, it's connection.
It is connection in so many ways, but at least here, Enrique and Victor, here's an opportunity. We are seeing it. We are living it. It's how do you now use this for the future of the sport in our city at many levels, not only at the professional level, not only at Shell, Enrique, but like you said, at the youth level, at the recognition level. I will say this, though. I think the media coverage, Enrique, will only improve. Look, Fox 26, of course, rights holders, Telemundo, they're all in on the coverage. I have been part of it, and I have seen it, and I'm proud of it. And it's not about...
Yeah, but the other stations, too.
Yes.
I'll just chime in real quick,
please.
because I mean, I really think, I've got no proof of this. I'm just going by my observation. I don't think the other stations in town got credentialed. I think Fox 26 got priority. That's just, again, from my observation. I don't think Channel 11 got allowed in the building. I don't think Channel 2 got allowed in the building, and so on and so forth. But I tell you what, they're doing their own coverage, and they're at the fan festival, and they're on the street, and they're, other stations or other media outlets might be, okay, well, you didn't credential us. We're not going to cover you then. No, I think they see the value in how much this thing is doing numbers, how many people are into the sport, and they're going to find a way to get part of the story, even if they're not allowed in the building. And again, I have no proof that they got denied or that they've been, sort of the outliers. But I'm just saying, I see the stations associated with the media, with Telemundo and Fox locally. They're in the building, and I can't imagine the other stations wouldn't want to have been there.
Well, I think the key, Enrique, in many ways is going to be that it's probably starting to sell. People are realizing, you know what? We are seeing our community getting behind this. We pitched them the World Cup package, and they bought it. That's how the media works, Enrique. If you can sell it, there's going to be more people getting behind it.
Yeah, but it's almost too late to jump on the bandwagon too, though. So
at this point for this World Cup, absolutely. Yeah. But for the sport, we'll see where it takes us. Friends, we've got to go, but let's remind everyone once again of tomorrow's matches so we can be prepared for that. And I think specifically, certainly for Houston, the big celebration that will be coming to Houston Stadium, as we call it. So just a reminder, Enrique, last word on who you're watching tomorrow beyond Netherlands, Sweden. What match stands out to you?
Let's see. Let's go with Germany. They got off to a good start. They really weren't tested, so now I don't know that maybe this will be a much better test for them. Let's to see how they get their World Cups really started with a good test here. But obviously they're in a good shape here to win the group and advance.
Victor, what are you looking beyond you'll be at the stadium tomorrow at Houston Stadium and that coverage, along with Katie, who will also be there with us taking photos. What else stands out to you? I love that Japanese team. It's a team that to me has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think if you're looking down the road and who could potentially come to Houston, I think we're getting Brazil might be that one team. The other team's going to come out of Group F, so that's the Netherlands, Sweden, Japan, or Tunisia. Probably not Tunisia, but I mean between so we may see Sweden or the Netherlands come back. We could see Japan. So if you're looking for that storyline, that might be the other game you're looking at, and it's not that far. It's down in Monterrey. I'm going to be paying attention to that Curacao game just because, again, regionally, Curacao in the CONCACAF region, and that's a good story. And I'm still not of the belief that just because they got blown out by Germany that they're such an awful team. I think that was more the Germans were just too good, too efficient on that day. And we'll see if Curacao can make some history here and get a result against Ecuador.
Well, these are great times for Houston, without a doubt. And maybe we don't need so much music, but they are fun times. Let's put it that way.
The band's out of control now.
Oh, something happened. I think the producer's trying to tell us we got to go, but that was some what do they call that? That German techno music. That's what that was.
That's your favorite, Alex. That's your favorite. Don't blame it on the Germans. That's your favorite. That's on your playlist number one.
I'm headed to the disco here in about 5 minutes, so that was my time to go. Gentlemen, it's always great to be with you. You see our little graphic there, friends. Our commitment for the remainder of the World Cup is to be live at night and have some soccer talk, be it with Enrique, with Victor. I know we're all busy. Maybe we'll bring in some other stars. We need stars because obviously this is just not enough firepower. I can tell you that much. Enrique, before we go, any last words for tonight and what you're looking forward to here in the next couple of days?
Well, I mean, excited about the U.S. This run that's starting to build, the momentum that's starting to build. They're playing good soccer. I don't know the last time that we've seen a U.S. match, a U.S. Team take the match to their opponent, especially in a tournament this big of this quality. So let's see if they're going to be for real. And it looks like they maybe are. What kind of run they make here in the next couple of weeks is going to be a lot of fun.
Enrique, it's always great to be with you. You're amazing. Thank you. Victor, what are you looking forward to here beyond being at the Houston Stadium tomorrow?
Just more of this color from the fans. I think we're seeing plenty of it all around. Just the different fan bases. I was looking at one even from Australia fans and some of the chants that they've. It's all good banter. It's all in good fun, and again, it's all just what the World Cup really entails and brings. It's like one big soccer party. So I think that's and it is. I go back to it. It is a celebration of cultures, and it's a culture clash, but in a good way, right? There's a lot of good mix. Again, look at that German fan. It's still going. I think they even got up a private jet because he was going to miss his flight for the Germany game. Yeah.
What a life.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And by the way, you're amazing, Victor. You're amazing. And you're kind of amazing, Enrique Vasquez, even with your Emmy and all. But I appreciate both of you being on, gentlemen. It makes it for me a lot of fun. And also, friends, thanks to all of you that take the time to follow us, to watch us. Thanks to our production crew who got most of the flags right today. So I'm very proud of them finally figuring out that Curaçao flag. So Victor, thank you. Enrique, thank you. Friends, thank you. So everybody have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. Let's get ready for the weekend and another important match here in Houston. On behalf of all of us, have a great evening, and thanks for following us here live at night in Soccer Talk. Have a good night.